All right, it is time to revisit Cathie Wood's ARK portfolio because there have been some changes in the portfolio over the past couple of weeks. Some things have gone up, some things have gone down in terms of the positioning of the portfolio. And I want to talk a little bit about my thoughts on some of the stocks that she is super ultra bullish on that have moved on to the top of the portfolio, and some of the stocks that she's not bullish on that have started to move to the bottom of the portfolio. Now, for anyone who has any of these stocks, I would really want to know why you have these stocks, what stocks you're bullish on, and ultimately what are your long-term theses on these stocks if you are in the stocks right now. Here is the ARK Innovation Fund main ARK KK ETF. Zoom Video Communications is number one. That is the number one stock in the portfolio. Now, it used to be Tesla. Not Tesla anymore. She's shaved off a little bit of Tesla, even though she's been buying over the past couple of days because Tesla's gotten a lot more cheaper in the 600s. By the way, if you're buying Tesla, let me know in the comments as well. I want to know how many people are buying Tesla. Zoom, 7.2 million shares. It is 10.62% of the portfolio. Now, we're going to get into what sort of our overarching thesis is on Zoom. It's a very interesting thesis, and I'll talk about it in a second. But Zoom is the 7.2 million shares. Tesla's 991,000, Roku 7.6 million shares. Just did a video and some analysis on Roku and Netflix. Not that bullish on Roku just because I think they're going more into content, less the operating system. But I mean, we're going to see what happens. Ultimately, if it is undervalued and if it is beaten up that much, there is room for it to go higher. It's just a question of if that's going to move the ETF, given their average was pretty high on Roku. CRISPR Therapeutics, UiPath I'm getting more into. Need to learn more research about that. CRISPR Therapeutics, look, I really don't know what these guys do. To be honest, I've heard about them. Let's just go to their website. They make gene-based medicines. So, I mean, this is good stuff. These are companies that you probably do want to bet on because if they're doing stuff that's important, like that's good in the world, that's awesome. The question is 6.5 million shares, $364 million stake, 5% of the portfolio. Is that enough to bet on what is essentially a biotech in some respects, right? Because like, look at their first press release on the bottom. Right here, CRISPR Therapeutics presents positive results from its phase 1 cobalt. What if that said negative results? Right? Like that's what I mean by is it's a biotech. Like at the end of the day, they're producing data. And if the data comes bad because like stuff happens and like it's hard to build really life-changing drugs, the stock tanks. And I know this because I've been in some biotech stocks before and I'm currently in one. So, I mean, like at the end of the day, I think this is a little bit more speculative as well, but I guess she knows something that makes her very confident to have 6.5 million shares of the company. Twilio, Teladoc, Exact Sciences, Block, UiPath. Block is a crypto play as much as it is a financial services play, especially because Jack Dorsey is the head of the CEO of that company. I mean, literally the company's named Blockchain, right? Like they really are doing a major pivot to crypto. And Coinbase, she has 5.352 million shares of Coinbase. Coinbase, given the crypto struggles, Bitcoin at 22,000. We're looking at Coinbase right now. It's at $51. And I'm making another video a little bit later today talking about some of the layoffs that are going on with Coinbase. So those are the top 10 positions that she has in the portfolio. As we go lower and lower, we see some of these names. Roblox is up there at 5.5 million shares. Robinhood, 20 million shares. I mean, if Robinhood even gets to close to what its all-time high, where it was like $83, this will be hopefully a decent return for Cathie, even though she bought at 30-40, so she is still in the red on this. DraftKings, 15 million. Nvidia, 452,000 shares. That is a new portfolio position that she started over the past couple of days. Spotify, 718,000 shares. She liquidated about 1.5 million shares over the past couple of weeks. Let's see if she continues to liquidate or if she leaves that position the way it is. And then you ended out with a bunch of these positions. Now, let's talk a little bit about Zoom and what the bull case is for Zoom. Because ultimately, I think it's an interesting thing to talk about when it comes to this position and if Cathie Wood is going to be right on this position. ARK's expected value for Zoom Video Communications in 2026 is $1,500 per share. That is their base case for Zoom, $1,500 per share. Now, it's a little bit crazy when you think about it because this is sort of their model, right? So I haven't gone through the literal open source. I think they open sourced their valuation model and all that stuff. I haven't gone through all that. But their expected value by 2026 is $1,500. Their bear case is $700 and their bull case is $2,000. If they are correct on just the bear case, it's a 7x. There's not a lot of easy places you can get a 7x in 4 years. So theoretically, if ARK is right, and if ARK is conservatively wrong, then you should put all your money into Zoom, right? Like that's basically what ARK is signaling here. She's like, well, if it goes to 700, where else are you getting a clean 7x on all your money? That's 700%. If it's 1,500, that's a 12x. So, I mean, where else are you getting 12x on your money? It would be, this stock right here that ARK is saying is going to go to 1500 as their base case. So it's a really, really interesting thing to think about. It would be, a massive return. I mean, that's why I think they've loaded up 7.5 million shares, because if that thing goes to 1500, they're going to make a lot of money. The question is if that's going to happen. What is the logic for why Cathie Wood thinks Zoom could actually be there? Now, we could go through some of the charts, but I want to give you kind of like the sort of the basic case, and then we'll talk more about it. They see Zoom's doing $1 billion in revenue, and that's about $4 billion for the year. Now, you might be thinking, okay, $1 billion in revenue, that's cool, but like, why does it matter? Well, it matters because Zoom is competing in a world in which they only have competition to deal with, right? They have Google, they have FaceTime, they have Google Meets and Slack and Microsoft Teams and all these different forms of competition clouding the enterprise communication space, which is where the big money is, but they are continuing to survive. And now, what is that reason that they're continuing to survive? ARK and ARK's research team is coming up with this hypothesis that the freelancers and knowledge workers of the world will be using Zoom and paying that $15 subscription because it is a vital form of video communications. It is a portal into, the ability to access meetings and information and things of that nature, to communicate with other people, to get jobs done as a freelancer. Around the entire world, millions of people will be using this product and this service because it is the best video product that's out there. It's just that simple. And then in the enterprise communication space, the reason why it's still able to hold market share in the face of Google and Microsoft and Amazon and Slack, really putting in their feet in the fire, is because Zoom is the best video product ever. And I tend to agree with Cathie Wood on this thesis. I think that Zoom is the best video product ever. I mean, I really do. I think it's the best video product ever. It's the best thing in the world. The problem is when you say it's going to go to 1500, you are assuming such a strong growth rate. I mean, I think it can grow, but like such a elevated growth rate in the next 5 years, which is just like, is that going to be what's going to happen? So like, this is the chart we have right here. The ARK estimate in 2021, there's the total Zoom users, global hybrid remote knowledge workers, excluding mainland China. So this is all the people that she thinks can still be using it. Total paying Zoom users, and then average revenue per paying user. That average revenue per paying user is going to go up significantly as the global hybrid users go up in the bull case. And the total Zoom user starts to take a chip out of that global hybrid amount of users that go along with the total paying Zoom users as well. So they think it's going to grow a lot, and the average revenue per user is going to be in the hundreds as they get more and more people to ultimately join and use the product. So to the base case or example bear outcome in 2026, there's 820 million global knowledge workers in 2026, 250 million hybrid remote knowledge workers using Zoom. So they're assuming there's all of these people across the world that are paying the subscription for Zoom, 90 million paying Zoom users, 310 average revenue per user, 30 billion in revenue they're assuming Zoom will be able to get to. The enterprise value to EBITDA would be 20x, market cap 240 billion, share price 700, which means that would give you an average compounded annual growth rate of 49% from 2022. In the bull case, you would get 87% compounded annual growth rate at $2,000 a share from 2022. The bull case has an 850 million total addressable market, 350 million people using it, 180 million people paying for it, 70 billion in revenue, 20x EV to EBITDA, and $680 billion market cap. I mean, could Zoom become that big of a company? I don't know. But like, I think Cathie Wood, they made their money off Tesla. They still obviously hold it because they see a 3x from here still on Tesla. I think that they said like a $4,000 price target or $4,600, something around that in the next couple of years. Zoom at 1,500. I mean, either she's going to be right or she's going to be really wrong. That's the cool thing and the fun thing about investing. The question is like, could that happen? And could that realistically, could the world's freelance global hybrid knowledge workers, enterprise communication organizations and clients actually decide that Zoom is worth paying for? I think they're going to pay for it. I think a lot of people are going to use it, especially because I use it and it's the best thing ever that exists in terms of video communication. I just don't know that many people are going to be paying for it around the world. I mean, there's just a lot of cheap alternatives at the end of the day to pay $15 a month just for video calls. If you really need it, if it's really vital, yes. If you don't, then you won't. But I guess Cathie is betting that 7 million shares, number one stock in her portfolio, $1 billion in revenue right now in 2022, eventually will be 70 billion by 2026. So it's 70xing the revenue. Even through this recession that we're going through, it's going to be one of those stocks that keeps up. She's betting that that's going to be the winner. So ultimately, we will see. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you guys think about Zoom? What do you guys think about Cathie Wood having it as the number one stock in her portfolio? Thank you so much for listening. I will see you in the next one.